Oh, hello, and welcome to Baron's Book Blog, Blog, an opportunity for me to give you guys the capsule reviews on the various books I recently read. Everything from general fiction to non-fiction, fantasy, sci-fi, horror, thrillers, graphic novels, mystery, and everything in between. Now, before we get going, I just want to say thank you guys for the great input. Most of it not having anything to do with the actual books or the reviews, but the decor of my home. So I thank you for that. The fact is, we just moved in recently, so we're still waiting for stuff to come in. So it looks a little sparse, and as a result, it's a little echoey. So bear with us. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have a nice bookshelf back there, and this place will be totally transformed. In the meantime, let's get on with the reviews. First book is The One by John Mars. And this one imagines a near future where an app exists that allows you to find the one, the perfect match for you. And it does this by linking you genetically. It's essentially a scientific approach to dating and matching. Basically what the story does is it follows about a half dozen different people as they attempt to track down, meet, and form relationships with the ones in their lives. An interesting premise, the execution, meh. The biggest problem I have with this book is that there's a lot of result writing. So there are plenty of twists and turns and surprises, but it's easy to offer up these great surprises and twists and turns in a narrative if the characters don't act logically, because of course they're going to surprise you because what they do doesn't make any sense. Also, there's a lot of, as I said, result writing, contrived moments. I'll give you an example, and here's a spoiler alert, should you wish to continue and read the book, which I advise against. But in any case, I don't want to spoiler alert my ultimate review. For instance, there's a woman who is matched with a guy, and she goes to seek him out, and in seeking him out she discovers that there's a memorial service for him being held for him. So she's like, oh, the love of my life, or purported who was going to be my love of my life, is dead. She's upset. She meets the parents, she hits it off with them. They say, hey, dead guy froze his sperm, and since you were a perfect match, maybe you'd like to carry the baby. And for some reason she says yes, because of course that sounds like a great idea. What else does she have to do for the next 9 months? Except carry this dead man's baby to term. So she does, and when she's pregnant, twist, she discovers that the purported dead man is actually not dead, but in a coma. So why didn't anybody tell her sooner? Meh, I don't know. How come she was at the memorial service and no one told her there? Meh, I don't know. Why were they having a memorial service for him if he wasn't dead? Well, as it turns out, it wasn't really a memorial service. It was more kind of a remembrance for the person he was, because he's not really dead, he's in a coma. Well, this is the kind of nonsense that permeates this book, the type of stuff that makes me really angry when I read. So I would say this book, The One, was probably one of the sloppiest reads I've come across in quite some time. And I'm going to give this a, surprise, surprise, not recommended. Next up is Sirens by Joseph Knox. This one is a thriller about a detective who kind of is hard done by. He's an older man who's been on the force a while. He hasn't had things go his way, so he's essentially on his way out when he is hired by a politician to rescue his young daughter, who's basically been hanging out with a gangster. And so he goes underground and undercover and tries to track her down and save her. And it's an interesting book. Our protagonist is interesting, and there are a few surprises along the way, but ultimately this book feels like it's been done about 24 times before. I liked it, but ultimately I don't think not enough to recommend it. So I'm going to give Sirens a, kind of wavering not recommended. Sorry. Next up is House of M, graphic novel written by Brian Michael Bendis and illustrations by Olivier. Is it Coipel? Is that how you pronounce the last name? Apologies in advance. This one takes place, this event, Marvel event, takes place after Scarlet Witch has gone crazy. She's under the protection of her father, Magneto. Earth's mightiest heroes, the Avengers and others, approach Magneto about the fact that the Scarlet Witch is incredibly powerful and completely out of control, and they have to do something about it. The next thing they know, everyone is suddenly living alternate lives, sometimes quite different from the lives they led before. For instance, Captain America is now a grizzled old war veteran, maybe like in his 70s. Peter Parker is married to his first love, Gwen Stacy, happily married. But the other characters, like Wolverine, begin to realize that something is up and that what they're essentially living is a dream, and begin to reach out to everyone else, and with the help of Emma Frost, awaken everyone. So this is one of those instances where you're reading it, and the trappings of the story, the whole sort of virtual reality and dreamlike construct, you've seen before, and yet it's the reactions of the characters and the worlds that are fashioned for them that are really interesting. Like I mentioned, the Peter Parker alternate life, and the fact that he's very happy with Gwen, and that he must face the fact that this life he's leading is an artificial construct, and he obviously acts very badly to it. And surprisingly, there are quite a few twists and turns in this graphic novel related to Magneto and ultimately who is behind the Scarlet Witch's turn. It's not to give anything away, but again, a pleasant surprise. I was expecting to like this one because I heard good things and I like Bendis, but I was surprised by how much I liked it. So House of M gets a recommended. Next up is The Gone World by Tom Sweteritsch. That's it, yes. This one actually really grabbed me. It's a sci-fi novel that involves time travel. And it's about a woman who's an investigator who is looking into the death of a family and the disappearance of a young girl. And the government has the ability to time travel, so essentially she's in the 90s investigating this crime, and she travels 20 years into the future. It's true, 20 years. 20 years into the future to see how things turned out so that she can use the information from the future to solve the crime in the past. Of course, that opens up a whole can of worms, and we start talking about the paradoxes and multiple the multi-stream theory, the multiverse theory. I liken reading this book to going on a roller coaster ride, and halfway through the roller coaster ride, you actually fall out of your seat and you're holding onto the back seat by really just the tips of your fingers, praying the ride will end and you'll end with it in one piece. That's how I kind of felt reading this book. As you're going along, there's so many things thrown at you. It's just so weird and at times so complex that you're not really quite sure what's going on, but you're trying to keep it together. And for the most part, I think really works well up until the end, the epilogue, that I really, really hated, because it totally undermines this amazing, strong protagonist that we've grown to get to know over the course of the novel. So originally I was going to give this one a highly recommended, but on the basis of that epilogue that really left a sour taste in my mouth, I'm still going to recommend it, but I'm just going to recommend it. I'm not going to highly recommend it, but check it out and let me know what you think. Especially get back to me about that epilogue, or my need for curtains in the back. Finally today, the last book I want to talk about is Robin by Dave Itzkoff, and it's an autobiography of comedian Robin Williams. Whenever you talk about comedians, people talk about the fact that they always seem to be on, they're always very funny, but behind the scenes, they're troubled and there's a darkness to them, manic depression, drinks and drugs. And it was really interesting to read about the personal life of Robin Williams, and the fact that really his childhood was a happy one. He lived from he grew up in a very affluent home. He had a great relationship with both his parents, and he actually found success fairly early in his career on Mork and Mindy, and kind of he parlayed that into a film career that kind of sputtered and never really caught fire in the way he really wanted it to. Still, I mean, for every Popeye, there was a Mrs. Doubtfire, and he ended up winning an Oscar, which is something he was looking forward to all his life. One of the most interesting aspects of this book, I thought, were the relationships, whether it was his relationship with his co-stars, or his relationship with his family, his relationship with his really good friends, and two of them really stand out. One of them was his relationship with Christopher Reeves, who, of course, played Superman in the Richard Donner movies, who ended up breaking his neck in a horseback riding accident. And it was interesting to learn how Robin really supported him throughout his rehabilitation. It was always, by his side and trying to keep his spirits up. And the other one was his relationship with Billy Crystal, who followed a very similar trajectory and with whom he maintained like a very strong friendship throughout. I found the book touching, ultimately very depressing. I think in the end, it took me like 3 days to get over it. But if you like Robin Williams, or even if you weren't really that familiar with him, I think it's a fascinating read. So I would give Robin a highly recommended. So I guess that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, you can leave them in the comment sections below. If you have any book recommendations, please leave them in the comment section below. If you have any more home decor tips you'd like to offer, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, like this video, and I will see you soon. Maybe soon. I'm going to get back to kissing the dog. Talk to you later.